Hello, everyone, and welcome to Smashbox TV Podcast, episode 514. I'm your host, John Van Derzen, and sitting beside me is nobody. Nobody! Terry Miller is not here tonight, apparently. He was traveling yesterday to Crokel, and as we all know, Crokel Open is the one that's coming up this upcoming weekend, the DGPT event, so he's going overseas, and I think he's going to Crokel. Maybe it's Oslo. I don't know where he's going. I think maybe he's flying into Oslo. But then he told me for tonight that he might join because the time difference is so much, and Terry's a night owl as it is. So this is kind of prime time for him. He wasn't sure what he wanted to be doing. But I reached out to him, and I think he went to bed. Which I don't blame him. Well, I do a little bit, let's be honest. I blame him a little bit. He is missing out on an episode. But fear not. I'm here on a Wednesday night. And I decided not to do it last night. Again, Terry was traveling, and then I could have done a solo show. I kind of was almost sure I was going to do a solo show last night. Then I had some family stuff pop up at like 7:30, and I kind of thought, like, I don't really want to do it now after all that. So I put it off. It could be put off no longer. The Wind Dragon showed up and told me, John, you need to do a podcast. And we'll get to the Wind Dragon a little bit later in the show. That's a whole thing. If you haven't seen the Wind Dragon, obviously Eagle's middle name, Eagle Wind McMahon, by all means go out and watch that video. I'm not saying it's good, but I want you to watch it. So anyway, tonight we're going to recap real quick This might be a quick episode tonight, not going to lie. We're going to recap the Des Moines Challenge that happened over in Iowa. We'll talk a little bit about the Crokel, and we'll kind of just touch on really anything anybody wants to chat about tonight. And we'll kind of, if you got anything you want to chat about, just pop it up in the chat room, and we'll get to this. So let's first talk about the Des Moines Challenge presented by DGA. Anthony Barella walks this one in. I heard a lot of scuttlebutt, which is what all the kids say, about how Gannon Buhr was going to run away with this one. Gannon Buhr was the man. Gannon Buhr choked it up first round. Well, not really choked it up. But he played mediocre for his standards. His round was rated at 1045, so below his current rating. Then he shot at 1055. And then at 1079, so he picked it up. But ultimately winning this was Anthony Barella, shooting 30 under par. Matty O taking second place, who just, I think a lot of people were out there rooting for Matty O. It wasn't quite MVP Open rooting for him, but he was in it to win it there. Pretty consistent, 55, 54, 55. You needed to be a little bit better than that. Clearly, 2 strokes in order to come out. Fourth place, Adam Hammes. Adam was neck and neck with AB up until about the middle of the final round. And AB was just relentless. And ultimately, the last few holes got to Adam. He was unable to kind of keep going. He shot a 5 under, which, again, not a bad round. It was a 1029 rated round, a little higher than his rating. But it wasn't enough. He couldn't keep up. He would have had to keep up with AB and then some. At one point, he was up a stroke, down a stroke, up a stroke. AB was up 2 strokes, and then it was only 1. And back and forth. It was a really great battle all around. And then we get to some names that we don't talk so much about lately. 5th place, Jake Mon. Shout out to Jake Mon out there shooting 24 under. He's a 10-11 rated round or a player who shot 1032, 1048, and 1079. So Jake Mon showing up. We just haven't talked much about him this year. We talked a little bit about his brother, who was winning some amateur events, but not Jake. 6th place, another Jake Ebenheimer. We haven't heard much of Jake Ebenheimer this year as well. He takes home $2,700, shooting a 23 under par, and a big fat tie for 7th place between Calvin Heimberg, who flew back from Europe, which I swore he wasn't going to do, and then turns around and flies back to Europe, U.S., Europe, U.S., Europe, racking up those frequent flyer miles. I don't understand. I would have picked one or the other. I wouldn't have made the double trip, but you know what? When you're Calvin Heimberg, what do you have to lose? Other than taking a top 10, which he barely cashed in his last event to keep his cash streak alive. He was bottom cash over in Europe. But I know he had some travel issues, some golf bag issues, a lot of things, a lot of issues, so to speak. Seventh place tie with Jaden Rye. Austin Turner, who was up there on the lead card that final round, but ultimately kind of just, again, Austin Turner shooting a 10.52, a 10.48, and a 10.44. Austin just couldn't keep up the pace. I mean, you could say that about everybody, but this is a good lefty-friendly course for him. It was nice to see Austin kind of show up for a little bit. Another tie for 7th place was Evan Smith, right above Evan Scott. So I know people are going to get that confused, but Evan Smith and Evan Scott. So Evan Smith shoots a 22, Evan Scott shoots a 21. That's basically your top 10 in MPO. A couple notable names that were a little bit lower on the leaderboard. Isaac Robinson, who I don't believe is going over for Krokel, but is going over for the European Open. So he will not. He's taking a week off. Could probably fly over there, take a look at some stuff, try to get that major under his belt. European Open doesn't feel like one for Isaac, but you never know. Anything can happen. Gavin Babcock was shooting really well the last few weeks. Simon Lizotte in 21st. Simon talked about how much he loved this course. Didn't show it on the course. Chris Dickerson in 21st place. Ugh. I mean, Dickerson coming off of, a short break. Shot a 10.52 rated first round. He was up there near the top. 10.40 and then a 10.15. So that final round really, really crushed him. Those are kind of your notable names over in MPO. We're going to talk a little bit more about FPO now. FPO is the story. I mean, AB getting his 4th win, I guess we won't glaze over that too much. AB's 4th win of the season. So he got wins 1 through 4 this year. I mean, the floodgates are open, as everyone expected. So AB really, really shining. And I think the next, I would say, 3 to 4 years, I think AB's going to rack up some wins. Much like Emily Weatherman racking up her first win in the FPO division, 18 under par, 3 better than Ellie Ezra, who was fighting for her first win on the tour. Emily Weatherman, her putt just looked phenomenal. She had never shot over 1,000 rated round and then closed this tournament with 1,008 and 1,026. Just getting really clutch down there on the putting green. She's going to be a force to be reckoned with if she can add just a little more distance. I think she needs to add 30 to 50 feet, and she will be. I mean, she's already going to be dangerous. Like if her putting stays like it is, just like Own is. But just that extra little distance, I think, could really help out Emily's game. And I think she can unlock it. She's only 18. She's the youngest ever DGBT winner. I think besting was Haley King, who was 19 when she won her first one. So congratulations to Emily Weatherman. We have a lot of Emily Weatherman in our future, I truly believe. Much like Eliezer Midling. So Eliezer shooting 15 under, taking home $3,800. This was a course that was made for her. It's a lot of distance out there for the women. And Eliezer was not only throwing far, but she was putting well. And I think that's Eliezer's Achilles heel right now is her putting. She's a very, very aggressive putter. And she puts kind of on a hyzer. So a lot of times if she misses or if she's off, she has the potential to really blow past a basket or roll, especially on these fast greens. So when she's going to get the cleanup. She's going to get it cleaned up, I'm sure. She's very young. 16, maybe 17 now, I'm not sure. But Eliezer is one of those players that's just, she throws so far. The ceiling is so high for her. Tied with Eliezer is Natalie Ryan. Natalie Ryan has been playing pretty well over the last few weeks. She's She shot a 990, a 1017, and a 985. Fourth place, Owen Scoggins, who really, really folded that last round, unfortunately. 1006, a course record, 54, 1025, and then a 65. And the weather didn't look like it was horrible to be shooting 9 strokes worse. 9 strokes worse for Owen. Missing some easy putts. Owen, I kind of thought Owen was going to win this one. I'm not going to lie. Going into that third round, I really thought it was Owen's to lose. And she lost it. What more do you want to say? Fifth place, Holland Hanley, who is not going overseas. Sixth place, Missy Gannon, who I do not believe is going overseas. Seventh place, Haley King, not going overseas. 8th place, Kat Merch. 9th place, Lisa Fakis. And 10th place, rounding out the top, is Hannah Wynn. Obviously, an event like this, it's a great event. And it really kind of... I've heard some people say that it's kind of stuck at a bad time of the year. I don't think it's a bad time of the year. I think the schedule itself is a little shifty due to a lot of travel overseas. Not much you can do about that, but this is, if they keep this up, this event, with the payouts and the course and the way they treat the players, it's going to be one of those courses, one of those events that people like Calvin are going to fly back for. Not going to lie. The payouts are usually pretty good here. So that's kind of your talk about the TrueBank Des Moines Challenge presented by DGA. What else do we have to talk about? We can talk a little bit about the Finnish Nationals. I got that pulled up right here. I'm going to close my TrueBank tab. Let's talk about Frisbee Golfen SM 2024 Finnish Nationals Disc Golf Championships. We have winning this one. I wish this was on the Skipace lineup because I literally drafted this guy a few weeks ago for the European swing, knowing that he's a really solid young player, and I needed a player. But Teemu Talakanainen? I need to listen to that one. I screwed that one up. But ultimately I did. I drafted him in my Skipace lineup a couple weeks ago. Got him on the line. Don't ask me how my team is doing. It's doing atrocious thanks to James Proctor. I got my eyes on you. If I'd have known you were getting married this year, I don't think it would have changed my drafting strategy, but you've been letting me down, buddy. And Matty O on the West Coast. Ugh. Didn't get any points for that. So I'm hoping this European swing, the next 3 to 4 weeks, are going to help me in my Skipace lineup. But Teemu wins this in a playoff with Nicholas Antala. Antala, obviously, the favorite. 30 points better than Teemu. But Antala really, again, he choked at the end. He could have walked away with this one. Not going to lie. The round ratings weren't crazy. Teemu shot a 1058, a 1050, 1035, and a 1058. So averaging 35 points over his rating ain't too bad. Whereas of Antala, 1058, 1066, 1027, 1050. So only averaging 10 to 12 points over his rating. Third place, a tie between Daniel Davidson, Juna Heinonen, Lari Lettinen, and Oni Rusinen. So these are all guys that you're going to see at the European Open. Some of them are going to be at Krokel. Some of them will not. They're going to skip Krokel and head right over to the European Open and get those practice rounds in on the Beast and the other course, which we'll talk a little bit about the Beast and one of the big changes they're making on an iconic hole. I don't know quite how I feel about it yet. Over on the FPO side, Evelina Salonen wins by 5 strokes over Heidi Laine. Evelina shot 4 under, a 954, which is 30 points under her rating, 1002, just 20 points over her rating, 986, which is right at her rating, and a 970 right below. So not exactly the stiffest competition for Evelina. She beat Heidi Laine, Tiina Väisänen, I'm sure I screwed that up, Silva Saarinen, and Henna Blomros. So those are your top 5 in the FPO. Over in the Finnish Nationals, which is kind of a fun event because it's only Finnish people. unlike the US Nats, which is everybody. Should we have a US only event? I mean, most events are US only, but not restricted. I guess they're not US only because we usually have one or two overseas players, but like Des Moines really didn't. Maybe Des Moines can be our US championship. Because we have USDGC, the United States Disc Golf Championship, but it isn't restricted to United States residents. I don't really care if we have one. It doesn't bother me one way or the other, but how would we take that? A big, fat, stinky A tier with some good, heavy cash. Well, this didn't even have that great a cash, but it wasn't bad. It was a solid A tier cash. And then only allow US players. I don't know. I don't know whether people would like that or not. Citizen wants to talk a little bit about Owen Scoggins. I want to talk a little bit about my lighting here. Without Terry to balance out my lighting, it's like fading in and out. I'm getting washed out and I turn bright red, whatever. He says he wants to talk about 3 possible rules violations he saw in FPO and no idea if they were violations. He says one of them, Owen threw in the water and stepped off of the first 2 steps with her left foot, then right stepped away and similarly dropped the puck. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think it matters it doesn't matter what foot you use. As long as you're a meter, 1 meter, and Owen's probably got little feet. She's a little woman. For me, it's basically 3 and just shy of half of my feet for a meter. But I got big old honky feet. Big honking feet. Size 13. And yeah, Owen has little feet. So I don't know how many steps it is for her. I've never measured her feet. Number 2, Eliasra clearly stepped on her disc for a throw right in the center. She almost fell. Yeah, that would be a penalty if someone called it. If someone went out of saw that, and Haley King lately has been doing this, and I give props to her. I think she even called Owen one time this weekend on it, and rightfully so. If you slip before the disc comes out and you hit the disc that's sitting there, whether that's your mini or whatever, that's a foot fault. You have an entire foot, basically, a 13 inches, a sheet of paper, 8.5 by 11, so 11 inches. Sheet of paper behind your disc. You don't need to plant right behind your disc, especially when you spin. Give yourself a little bit of space. No reason. So shout out to Haley. Keep calling those, no matter who it is. And number 3, Natalie was under a tree and used a disc to support her right knee. Wouldn't that be considered improving your stance? No, I believe there is. Now, it was, and then it wasn't, and then it was. Right? Wasn't, then it was, then it wasn't. I don't believe that's a violation right now. I think there is a stipulation in the rules on what you can put under your knee in order to support yourself. And there's a thickness of some sort, and a disc falls within that thickness. So you can put, if it were crazy super muddy, you wanted to put a disc there, that's fine. You could put a towel down. They have those special pads you can put down. There's like literal knee pads you can put down. I forget who makes them. I haven't seen a sponsor. I haven't seen them out and about recently, but they used to exist. Players used to carry them. I think they were sponsored to carry them, but yeah, there's no reason that you could not have one of those pads to support yourself or secure yourself or keep yourself clean. Rantantan says, hey, JVD, hear anything about the Finnish Nationals drama? And drama's in quotes. I've not heard anything about any drama. Anything like other disc golf drama. It's really not that much drama. Not super exciting. But if you know something, fill me in. And Citizen says from his input, when it comes from golf, 2 or the 3 of those would have been DQs. Correct. Golf is a little bit more stringent with their lie than we are. We're a little bit more flexible. And even the penalty on Owens for stepping on, or whoever for stepping on her disc, would have been like a foot fault, which is a one-stroke penalty, and you just take it from where it lies. You take it from where it lands. There's no other penalty. So, yeah. So those are kind of the things that happened. So that's your talk about the events that did happen. I think there was one other big event this weekend, but honestly, it wasn't that big because I can't remember it. Oh, the Estonian National Championships. Yes. Albert Tom wins that. And I think Silva. No, not Silva. The Estonia. What? Forgive me as I find this one. Yeah, basically, it was like the Estonian National Championships, but it's got a really, 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 really long name that I'm not going to bother. Can I Google Translate that? Translate to English. Yeah. It's the it translates to Wienerberger presents the Estonian Championships in disc golf. All right. So it's probably pronounced like Wienerberger, but we're going to call it Wienerberger because I'm a child. Yeah, Albert Tom wins this one over Maury Vielman. That's kind of an upset, even though they're rated about the same. Maury's been playing very, very well. So the fact that Maury lost to Albert, shout out to Albert. Hopefully, it sounds like his putting was doing very well. And in FPO, Katie Alsalu wins this by 6 strokes over Christy Unt. And then in third place, Kede Tate. Again, all players you're going to see coming up to the European Open. Every one of these, as they should be. We're not going to see a lot of FPO from the US over there. And that's a shame. Yeah, for the FPO, if I'm looking at the United States, you've got Kat Murch, Kona Montgomery, Paige Pierce, Madison Walker. Shout out to Madison for going over. I wouldn't have expected that. Sarah Hokum, Missy Gannon, who is going over. I was wrong. I said earlier she wasn't. And Ella Hansen. That's it. No Holland Hanley. No Owen Scoggins. No Haley King. Those are probably the next 3 top players. But we will have Kristen Tatar, Evelina Salonen, Henna, Silva, Haiti, Luque, Anakin, Sophia Donachie, Katie Asalu, Rachel Turton. So you've got all the Europeans, just not the U.S. And I think that's because it doesn't pay. Honestly, if the winner of this will probably it's a major will probably take home $10,000 as an FPO, maybe $8,000. Let's say 8 to be safe. Second place, $4,000 to $5,000. Cool. That pays for your trip, assuming you're flying alone. But the women I mentioned earlier probably wouldn't be coming alone. They usually have like a significant other that comes with them. So right away, you're talking you have to take top 3 in order to make your trip worthwhile. And I've heard things like, well, why don't sponsors pay for the trips and whatnot? That's a whole discussion about contracts and whether or not the players maybe get a travel stipend at the beginning of the year and they get to decide how to spend it. Like a gas card. I know that's what used to be handed out. I think Discraft used to give like their players like these big gas cards that they could then just whatever. So yeah, it's too bad. But then again, next year, I'm guessing we're going to see a huge U.S. contingent because we've got 2 majors overseas. And maybe that's another reason why we're not seeing a lot this year. Everyone's kind of thinking, well, I'll get over there next year. Make a nice long trip of it. But yeah, I don't know what the real answer is. It'd be if Holland Hanley's listening, she could chime in and let me know why she's not going. I don't know. As far as, well, I mean, we can talk real quick here about European Open. Again, tonight's going to be a shorter show without Terry. There's no one to be wrong. I can only be so right. There's no one to be wrong. If Terry's not here, you're just getting all facts. And none of the, crap he spews. European Open. The big talk about the European Open right now is hole 16 and the modifications made to hole 16. And I don't know how I feel about it. And for those of you that don't know or have been living under a rock or just don't, or your only source of media information, good for you. Patreon.com/SmashboxTV. You can no longer take the giant number. Kind of like what they did to hole 17. A lot of people screamed out hole 17 at USDGC. That they nerfed it when you couldn't, when they no longer let you just stand on the tee and throw 15 discs out of bounds. You threw, 2 from the top, then you went down to the first drop zone. If you missed, it's different for MPO and FPO. I think MPO, if you miss 2 from there, or is it just 1 from there, you don't get on the green. Then you go to the second drop zone, which is on the island, where you then throw from, off to the right of the basket, back towards the basket, which is then OB. I forget if you do that once or twice before you go to the island. It changes every time. And last year, we saw Anthony Barella just iconically throw a half dozen shots and miss the island. They stopped it. If you go OB on the drive, you go to a drop zone, which is about 330 feet away from the island. Maybe a little, maybe a hair less, 300. And then from then you have a chance to get on the island. If you miss that one, you go to a second drop zone, which is closer to the island, or on the island maybe even. If you miss that one, then you go onto the island. So basically, the worst you can probably take is a double bogey. Again, I'm a little torn because part of the thing I've always complained about at USDGC is the need for a damn near translator or a second caddy for someone to keep an eye on the caddy book to keep track of all the different rules on all the different holes. You go B on this one, you take it from here. If you don't, this is bunker. This one is hazard. This one, there's too many. It's confusing. I've always hated it. And I feel like making a hole like this, while it is very difficult, and these are professional players that should be able to get on this island, and none of them can't get on the island. We saw AB just ended up in a crap position that he hadn't practiced from, and he just couldn't put it on the island. Whether that was nerves or adrenaline or whatever you want to call it, he just kept missing the island. But it is against our rules. And now you can get waivers for these rules. That's fine. Maybe they probably wanted to get a waiver for the rule, and maybe the PDGA said, cool, you can do this, but we're not going to include this in your rating. Just like they do at USDGC, just they don't include it in the rating. And that's where I'm torn. Because I definitely don't want other events, local events, A tiers, big B tiers. I don't want them doing this. That's dumb. That should not be allowed in most, even for pros, even for your local pros. Go out to your local course. You go out there for, your whatever A tier happens to be in your neighborhood, and you've got a 300-foot island carry. You don't go, you keep throwing. It's never good. Can't do that. I hate it. Hate that idea. But for the disc golf pros, again, I hate that it's against the rules, because to have different rules on different holes on the same course, I hate it. I hate it. It's confusing for viewers, because normally you'd think, oh, AB, he threw it, didn't make the island, he should go up to where he was last in bounds, which is the way you play every other OB. Nope, you got to stay where you were at. You make no advancement. All right, well, clearly they're doing it just for drama. So the fact that, now if I'm the European Open, maybe I tell the PDGA, fine, we won't be sanctioned. Or we're not sanctioned, we'll still be an X tier. We won't be rated. I think that's a choice they have. I don't know what the PDGA is doing to put their foot down about this stuff. I don't know if they should. Part of me thinks that the Pro Tour wouldn't be the worst thing to see the Pro Tour have different subset of rules. Generally play by the PDGA rules, but allow them to, go their own way with the rules. Now, that opens up a whole can of worms for ratings. Does the DGBT need to be rated? I don't know. Talk to Yuli, and he doesn't necessarily think so. Do we? I like the ratings, but if the whole Pro Tour went to no ratings, that would really skew pro player ratings, because most of them only play Pro Tour events. Then they've got like a handful, 3, 4, maybe 5 other events throughout the season. And if those are the only events you're getting rated on, usually those events give you lower ratings because of the lower quality of players that you're playing against. So it's harder to get the bigger quality ratings, is my understanding. Now, it shouldn't be that way, but the ratings are a really funny, fickle thing with the way the calculation happens. So I'm not sure, honestly. I have to think this more through. As we stand right now, I don't care that they change the rules. It literally would probably affect 4 people at the whole event that would miss the island more than, I don't say 4. Let's just say 5 people around. That would rack up a big number. I'd have to go back to the last year's and look at how many put up more than like a 7 or an 8. But does it provide drama? Yeah. Is that what we care about? I mean, viewers are where the Pro Tour makes money. But again, this isn't a Pro Tour event. And I'm also a strict believer that the PDGA should own all the majors, which we don't right now. And the PDGA needs to abide by specific. They don't need to abide. That's the wrong term. The PDGA is beholden to other companies that own some of these majors. I believe UC owns the European Open, or Discmania does, or whoever that is. What sub-company, shell company owns this, I don't know. USA Disc Golf, I believe, owns the USDGC, or the naming, or whatever that is. It's a sub-shell company of Innova. You can argue you want that it's a whole separate company with different people. I don't care. It was an Innova event for years, and in my mind, it'll pretty much always be. The fact that, this year, Disc Golf Network has a premium tier that you get these 2 events, European Open and USDGC. Everyone knows why. It's because those events want to be special, and I think they want their cut of, if not. And so the Pro Tour, the DGN, has to kind of bend to their will, because I can almost guarantee you if it was up to the DGN, they would have everything under a regular subscription. They wouldn't have this. Not that they wouldn't have an upper tier for other things, but I don't think they would include the events in the upper tier. I think it would all be part of the standard tier. But, you've got to play nice with everybody. I've also said for years that if I were the PDGA, I'd put my foot down and say, guess what? You want to make these funny rules? You're not a major. Yank the rug. There's no shortage of places we can put a major. If they want to abide by the PDGA rules, by all means. But to have these events be X tier majors, I don't know. But maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we should be going for all the drama in the world. Maybe that's what everyone likes to see. Maybe we should just say, forget the regular PDGA rules. Those are for your PDGA regional players. We're going to make special rules for the Open and FPO. Anyway, that's my soapbox. I don't know. I don't know the right answer. It's where I stand right now. And even that is a little odd. All right, I'm reading on the board. Rantantans was talking about some issue at the Finnish event, that some player was put under a time watch. And it was kind of a Nico situation, but not nearly to that extent. Maybe someone was just a little upset about the call. Well, I think we're going to see more of that. I really hope that the PDGA and other players, not just the PDGA, starts really warning people about their time violations. So, what else do we have to talk about? So I talked about hole 16. Honestly, guys, there's not a lot tonight. Hope everyone had a really good 4th of July, though. What's today? Today's the 10th? What's on the PDGA website as far as news? I looked at this earlier tonight. You're voting. If you didn't get this, you can submit your ballot for PDGA Board of Directors. The elections are available right now. So please, by all means, learn about the candidates. Go out and vote. Vote in general. Your local elections, your PDGA elections, your national elections. Voting's important. Our world rankings came out today. Our new PDGA, the official Disc Golf World Rankings, powered by the PDGA Live. Why the live part? What are we kidding? Powered by PDGA Live? Is it because the stats are powered by the PDGA Live stats? It should just be powered by the PDGA. The PDGA Live is part of the PDGA. The FPL rankings, no shot. Kristen Tatar is still dominantly in first. Owen Scoggins in second, only by about a point over Evelina Salonen. Missy Gannon moves up a place into 4th place. In 5th place, Holland Hanley. 6th place, Hannah Blumloose. 7th place, Haley King, who moved up as well. And moving down one is Ella Hansen. So your top 10 really barely moved. There's a little bit of shuffling. Basically, Henna fell from 4th down to 6th, and everybody else shifted up one. And Haley and Ella switch places. There's not a lot. I mean, nobody is catching Kristen Tatar. And the world rankings are a longer, bigger picture. I think they take the last 2 years. Something like that. So it makes sense that why Kristen Tatar is at 158.8 points and Owen Scoggins in second is 70 points behind her. Yeah, that's just how it's going to be for like another year or two, assuming if Kristen stays what she's doing, it'll probably be the next 4 years. But we got to see how she's feeling. So I'm excited to get to see her at the Crocal. She's scheduled to play. So that is, her upcoming events are obviously Crocal, European Open, as well as the President's Cup. I don't get that excited for the President's Cup. I'm not going to lie. I don't know why. Maybe because it's always been a little harder to follow. And because the U.S. dominated for so long that it was just kind of blah. But I think this year's going to be close. We'll see. I'll probably end up watching it. And then she's going to the European Disc Golf Festival, and she'll be coming back over to the U.S. for Worlds, August 21st. That's Kristen's schedule. Let's talk about the MPO World Rankings, which didn't shift too much. Calvin Heimberg's still in first by less than a point over Gannon Buhr. Third place is Ricky Wysocki, no movement. Moving up a place is Matty O, and down a place is Kyle Klein. I mean, literally just fractions of a point. The big jump, though, and I think we're going to see, a lot of this. Anthony Barella in sixth place right now, jumped up 4 spots. Again, recency bias, short term. Anthony Barella is probably the third best player in the planet right now, behind Calvin and Gannon. He's probably right. He's right there with Ricky. I think Ricky doesn't have the low spots that AB has, but it feels like AB's high spots are higher than Ricky's right now. So, give or take. Dropping a spot because AB jumped up, Isaac Robinson, Nicholas Antala, Paul McBeth. And rounding out your top 10, Simon Lizotte jumped up 1 spot to knock Eagle out of the top 10. So those are your top 10 players. You could argue back and forth as far as who you think. Obviously, like I said, this is a longer picture. These are world rankings. These aren't power rankings, which you would, really shorten up the time. So, regardless of how you feel, them's your players. Going back to the board, let's see what's going on here. Citizen says the President's Cup has to have its own weekend and needs to start being on U.S. soil every other year. They used to do that. They used to have the President's Cup. It was held before USDGC. It was every other year, and it flip-flop back and forth. And I don't know why that stopped. I don't know if it was just because it was harder to get the Europeans over here, a full set of Europeans over here, than it was to get a full set of Americans over there. But I agree. I wouldn't mind seeing an expanded President's Cup, a weekend-long event, maybe a 2-day event, a bigger 2-day event, Saturday and a Sunday or Friday and a Saturday, where you have, mixed doubles. And if I were Europe, I'd be fighting for a bigger FPO contingent, that's for sure. Because right now they have to leave someone off. You've got KT, Evelina, Henna, Silva, Haiti Line. All of those women easily compete with all of our women right now. I mean, it seems like a no-brainer. and I understand why it's the way it was, why I think it's 5-2. Because back when it was just Val Jenkins, Des Redding, and Juliana Korver that were ever traveling overseas, that made the most sense. But our sport's bigger now. I think we need to expand the FPO slot. At least one. Make it 5-3. Make it 6-3, whatever that number is. We need to expand the FPO slot at this point. It's gone long enough. We have a bigger contingent of qualified women who I think can foot the bill and not be embarrassing. So let's do it. Let's next year, whoever runs President's Cup, rack up another FPO spot. See, I don't want to say it's the only way Europe is going to win, but it certainly is going to help them. I don't think it needs to be a 50-50 split yet, but again, 6-3, 5-3, whatever that number is, 6-4, even 4, I'd be okay with. Again, I think you could do a mixed doubles round. You could do a picked doubles round, a match play, and then a singles. You could do 4 different types of events if you really wanted to. 2 a day. Do some 2-a-days. Ron Tantan says, last year the President's Club Cup was close. Yeah, it was within a few strokes of a few matches, to be honest. And that's why I watch it. I cannot wait to see the day the European players take it for the first time. That is going to be some celebrating. I'll stand up and give them a little golf clap. I ain't that way. They just every year, some years are closer than others, but the day they take it, you're talking, Red Sox, Cubs, Europeans, in the President's Cup. There's, just some places just don't win. But when they do, it's going to be a party. Europeans flipping cars in the road, starting bonfires right there. I don't know if any of that's going to happen. But either way, it's going to be a lot of fun. I hope, I truly wish the Europeans luck. I mean, they've got Simon, they've got KT, they're going to have Evelina, I believe. Just, they amazing. Amazing. So that is kind of your talk from the PDGA perspective. Again, quiet week as everybody moves over to Europe. I got a disc golf thing in the mail today, and it is shout out. I don't know why I'm giving a shout out. I paid full price for it. I was saying shout out to MVP, but I got the MVP putter holder. I only say shout out because they really did make it really easy to put together. The box says under about 60 seconds to put it together. Maybe if you have all the parts laid out, like all laid out, ready to go, I think you could do that. But they're all zip tied together. It took me probably about 4 to 5 minutes to put together. But it all just unscrews and screws together. Really simple. I'm sure that this has been discussed before. So my putter holder, I'm going to show a picture of it here. Let's flash this up on the screen. Boom. Right there. I filled it up. I did put the MVP ones up on top because I'm a shill. I have 5 MVP putters, and I put them up top. The other ones there's some Pures in there. There's some BL Steadies, handful of old magnets. There's a couple Lone Star discs in there that they sent me, which is fine. I use them to putt in the backyard. And again, maybe this is available and I haven't even looked yet, but do they sell additional extenders? Because it comes with 2 probably 4 to 5 inch extender screws that you can use to lengthen the putter thing, which is good because literally I'm missing room for 1 putter probably. I have a custom putter that was made, that was a custom dye job that was made for my daughter. It's got Ernie from Bert and Ernie on it, so I'd have to look at who sent that to me, but I do appreciate that. And it didn't fit. I didn't put it down there. I could have probably pulled one of the other putters, but I will say that putter is nice. So I wonder if they sell additional extenders. Can I double up on my MVP extenders? I'm gonna look now. MVP pod, I think it's called. Extension. Yeah, they sell more extension kits. Of course they do, John. You're not the only moron to think of this. For those of who have already added to their pod to their practice routine, the pod extension kits are a perfect way to customize your practice experience. 2 3-inch pole extensions. I always exaggerate a few inches, don't worry. I said they were 5. You can simply add 2 kits to your pod and reap the rewards. Yeah, I might have to get another little extender. Because if I have that last putter on there, it's 1 too many. And granted, I probably could get rid of some of my putters back there, but why should I? Why should I? I'm an American. Give me more. Yeah, maybe I'll buy another extension kit in order to fit a few more putters. This weekend, really, I ordered it on Sunday and it came today. I put it together. It really nailed it for me when I went to go putt on Sunday. Just toss some discs. And not only do I have, like, as you saw, a stack of discs, so you have to, like, haul all those, but because they were sitting in the basket and they were sitting upside down, the rain sat in them, and then they were all slimy. It was like algae had grown inside of them. A lot of water, a lot of heat. They sit on top of each other. Sometimes I only grab the top 5 or 10. When I went to get the other ones, they were slimy, so I had to take a towel and really scrub on them. Well, this is going to prevent that, because the way they sit, no water can sit on the inside. That's why I bought it. Really excited. And I can then take the putter holder, walk it over to the basket, and then just load it all up and walk where I'm going again. I don't have to kind of awkwardly, I got long arms, but you still have to awkwardly kind of do all that. No, not going to happen. How many putters fit? I don't know. That's a great question. 5, 11, at least 25, I think. I mean, I could probably look at the picture and count them again. Well, let me do that. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, it's got to be about 25 putters. It holds about 25 putters. And again, in the picture, there was one little putter sitting in the basket. 26. I have 26 putters out there. Do I need a 26? No, not really. Not really. But I need 25, clearly. Or some extenders. MVP, I'm going to probably buy one more set of these pod extenders. This expansion kit. So I can rock and roll with all the putters I ever wanted in life. Because what I like to do is I like to buy a handful of new putters. Like all the exact same kind. I was really excited because I wanted to get some of the Simon putters, whatever the heck they're called these days. You can't go to any online store and get the exact same kind. When I say exact same kind, I mean the exact same colors. I wanted the exact same color, so I paid a premium. It was probably like $5 a disc to get the Simon back-to-back Music City ones because they were all the same color. Is that idiotic of me? Maybe. Do I love myself a little more because of it? I do. I like the consistency, which is usually why I just grab white. The picture, most of them are just white putters. That's what I normally go with. I've got 6 of the BL Steadies, I think, and I've got 5 Pures. Yeah, I rattled off what I have, and not to mention like the stack of putters that are right here behind the camera that just sit on my shelf that I just don't need to have out there. So I don't know. I like the Pixel. That's the Simon one. I like the Pixel putter. It's not very floaty though, compared to some of my other ones, and it dumps a little faster. I consistently came up short with it versus I feel like the Pure and the BL Steady are very close. They're I can when I putt from 30 feet, I can hardly notice a difference. I do notice a little difference with the Pixel. It's not quite as floaty. That's not better or worse, just different. I don't know which one, because I'm a big fan of, I'm a very flat putter if I can help it. And I'm a spin putter, come right from my chest, straight out, right to the basket. Every time, just goes in. And those Pixels, I had to aim a little bit more right because they were coming in, not as flat. So that's my review of the MVP pod and the Pixel putter. MVP Pixel putter. I'm like a regular MVP shill now. I don't get paid for this crap. But I enjoy it. I like it. I like that. I like the pod. I've only used it once. So Just sits there. I almost went the PVC route, which a lot of people, there's some really good ones online that you can look at and build. But I also thought, yeah, then I got this weird PVC thing in my backyard. There's anything wrong with that. I have to justify that to my wife as to why this kind of janky PVC thing is sitting in the backyard. I'd spray paint it black. But then by the time I bought all the PVC, which is going to be about 30 to 40 bucks, $10 in spray paint, already at like 50 bucks. Plus, one of the parts that was on the build I looked at, I had a special order. So I was going to wait an extra time. So I was like, just get the $70 MVP pod. And well worth it. Well worth it. Dust says he always used the Deputy or the Fierce. I haven't tried the Fierce yet. I should order a handful of those. Start to retire my oldest putters, the old AVRs and magnets. I'm sitting in there. But I did putt with the Deputies for a long time because they go very straight and floaty. In fact, that's what I currently putt with. It's in my Squatch bag right now. I'm also going to look at getting a cart. I'm that guy now. I'm an old guy. All my friends have carts. And I'm very envious when I'm watching them stand there and it's raining and they're not hunkered under an umbrella like I was, like I've done for 20 plus years. I need to go cart. So, need to get that figured out. I wouldn't mind one of the Ridge Rollers. Sport Joe here locally. They're pricey, but build quality is awesome. I could go with the Zuka. And that's fine. Those are really the only two options. If I want to spend an extra couple, if I want to spend the Ridge Roller, well, again, so worth it. Is like an extra $200 over the Zukas. So I need to make that determination. I used to have a cart. I had one of the, so the story, for those of you that don't know about Zuka, a local gentleman here, Joe Robinson, he started buying Zuka carts and refurbing them. He changed them up. He made them disc golf carts. He modified them. He created new inserts. He even, he welded pieces here and there, and he did that locally, and he sold a bunch locally. I bought one. I had one of the original he called them Ridge Rollers. And so he kept ordering from Zuka, and at one point Zuka's like, "What are you doing?" And he kind of explained it. And they were like, "Yeah, no thank. We think we can do this." And Zuka took over. Joe was not so happy. There was a back and forth there. But Zuka basically was like, if this is the business we're going to get into it, we're going to do it ourselves rather than you resell and modify our product, whatever. I think he's putting different tires on, extensions for the handles and things like that. But so then Joe decided he was going to start fabricating his own. I think that's all Joe does now. He sells these Ridge Rollers, and they're again, almost everybody here locally, because Joe's a local. When I say local, I mean Wisconsin local. He's up where I grew up. He's in the Appleton, Kimberly area, just shy of Green Bay. I'm in Milwaukee. I consider him a local because I grew up there. Everybody in this area has one, practically. Everybody. So, yeah, we'll see. The one thing I like about the Ridge Roller that I could really go with is I could probably, if I wanted to, I could probably call him and say, "Hey, I want to buy one of these. That's great. Can you make the handle longer?" Because that's my biggest complaint, is being 6'6". When I pull these behind me, like, I feel like the handle isn't quite long enough. Like, I want an extra, don't we all? 4 to 6 inches on the handle. Because plus, when you put an umbrella in it, then it sits higher up on me and I don't have to worry about it, whatever. So, Citizens said, "I bought a used lawnmower that had new tires." Same thing. If the engine's good, let her run. Let's talk real quick about the Wind Dragon. And again, if you don't know what the Wind Dragon is, just go to Eagle McMahon's YouTube and take a look. Um, yeah, Richard, he's a 6'4". I hate hitting the tire with my foot. 100%. 100%. That's what I do. And then it just jars you and it jars things. I need a longer pole. And I don't feel like I could call Zuka and be like, hey, can you give me like a 6-inch longer pole because I'm picky? And they'd look at me and they'd be like, no. Either modify your own or do something, which I would probably figure out a way to do. But I feel like with Joe, I could do that. I could get a custom pole. But still, either way. Wind Dragon. Eagle McMahon dropped a new video. I can just look up Wind Dragon. That's funny. And a new disc and video. It's the Eagle McMahon Fission Dimension Wind Dragon, available for pre-order. You'd think, being the MVP shill I am, I'd know that. But I didn't. It's a dimension. I don't know what those do. I heard they're very stable. They're very fast. Eagle throws them very far. It's an overstable 14.5 speed disc. 14.5. It's so fast you need to go in halves. It's too fast for all of us. Let's be honest. That's not going to stop people from buying it. But we probably shouldn't be throwing it, let's be honest. But this one is less stable than its counterparts. Expect a straighter, more manageable flight for the 350 to 450 arms than the average dimension. Still too far for me. I throw 350, sometimes 400. I really get a good pull on it. I get a good turn. It's crazy. But the whole story is not that the disc dropped. It's the video that dropped with it. It is weird. It's funny. It's awkward. It's cringe, as I saw a lot of people say. We thought Silas Schultz dropped the song of the summer, and then Eagle comes here and decides he wants a piece of that streaming action. It's more or less Eagle in a dragon onesie with a little dragon stuffed animal lip syncing. And I guess I didn't look closely if he was on the West Coast or he was in Colorado when he made this. Either way, it's funny. And I say, you go. Let your freak flag fly, man, as they say. Eagle's a funny guy. I think when I first met Eagle years ago, I felt that he took himself a little too seriously. And in the last few years, I do feel like he's opened up. He's become much more comfortable. I mean, he was always very comfortable in public, I feel, or publicly. He used to do all the blogs and stuff like that, and he kind of backed off of that. But he's never been shy. And I think this is funny. I don't know if it's going to help the sales or not. I guess we'll find out. But it is, it's 4 minutes of your life you'll never get back. But it might be worth your time. Might be worth your time. Or if you don't want to see something awkward and uncomfortable and strange, don't bother watching it. You'll hate it. It's pretty simple. You'll hate it. I watched it once. I doubt I'll watch it again. But it was funny enough. So, yes, the fission dimension. The fission dimension. The disc does look cool. It's got some cool artwork. Tim, who's our resident artist, I would guess, if I had to take a guess, maybe that's a John Dorn design. You can probably look at the stamp, dig around in there, and see if you can see his initials that he hides in all the hides somewhere. Sometimes they're very difficult to find. Sometimes they're not. But John Dorn, he might be the designer of that stamp. It's kind of right up his alley. Honestly, he's big into the fantasy, sci-fi stuff. So this would be like a John Dorn special. I've seen a lot of John's stuff. We're friends on Facebook. I've known John Dorn for years, literally decades. I knew him kind of before I disc golfed too. He was dating. He's a couple years older than me, but he was dating someone that worked at Best Buy when I was in high school. She worked there, I believe. That's how I originally I met John Dorn. And it turns out he was a disc golfer and this and that. So he still plays. Good guy. So, yeah, it's 14.5 speed. Tim Court says the Crave is 6.5. I probably can't even flip over a Crave. Richard Rosh says 2.5 minutes in it, he turned it off. I struggled through it, not gonna lie. Like, you get the joke after about a minute and a half, and then you're kind of like, all right. The only thing I was thinking is, like, I wonder if I'm gonna miss something at the end after and you don't. So, it's 5 minutes and 1 second of your life. Sorry, I guess, again, I'm not gonna go back and watch it. Is it better than Ricky's cooking video? I don't remember Ricky's cooking video. I'd have to go back and watch that one. Yeah, Nick Markey is like, you want to miss that MCU post-credit scene. I honestly was thinking, like, at the very end, that it would be interesting to see, like, it's all done, cameras kind of drop, and then you see Eagle say, like, have Simon standing there just laughing, and Eagle go like, all right, I lost a bet, or however that would go to do that. Or maybe you open it up with Eagle in that onesie being something like, really, this is what you want me to do? And then break into the song. I think you could have added some levity there. But there is something about just straight up lip syncing whatever Wind Dragon song that is. That's a choice. I'm here for it. I want to see. Just think of what we could have had it not been for Discmania holding Eagle back. Think of what we've been missing. Not any longer. MVP says, you go. You go. Could have been fun, man. We're definitely, Discmania owes us like at least 3 to 4 years of Eagle weirdness. Richard Rash says, I would rather watch Piff the Magic Dragon from AGT. He's coming to town, I just saw. He's coming to Milwaukee. But not my style. Does he wear the outfit during the major? It would be funny to see him go to hole 1 in that. I don't know the type of restrictions he would have. Is that PDGA legal? I mean, if you're wearing a collared shirt underneath of it, or sport fit, whatever they call these days, don't see why not. There's nothing in the rules that says you can't wear a dragon onesie. Nothing in the rules. Because a dog can't play basketball. Gus says apparently the song was AI generated. Oh, that would make sense. I never thought of that. I thought maybe he was literally saying Wind Dragon, and maybe it was, or it was a friend of his. But AI generated does make a lot more sense. And he shot it and edited him all himself. Yeah, he's always had good editing skills. I mean, all of his vlogs and stuff. I mean, like I said, I'm here for it. I want to see Eagle be Eagle. He's not beholden to. It's kind of like what I tell my kid, my 15, almost 15-year-old. He'll be 15 in literally 5 days. It's like, now's the time. You don't have a job. You've got no expectations. You're this awkward 6'7" kid. I was like, do what you want. Dress the way you want. Have your hair the way you want. Dye your hair. I don't care. Like, now's the time when you can get away with that crap. An Eagle who doesn't really, doesn't have to really conform to anything, doesn't have to conform to any business environment, any business standards, and social norms if he doesn't want to. Nobody cares. Man, be you. You just got to go disc golf. That's all you got to do. So shout out to Eagle. I did enjoy it. I won't enjoy it again, but it did make me smile the first time I saw it. It might have been a little too long. So yeah, Udio is AI. They make AI generated songs. My boss made one, some country song. I've heard other people do it. I literally almost made one a couple weeks ago for the podcast. I was jokingly going to make a song opener, and I didn't get a chance to finish it for like some really bad intro music, and surprise Terry. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll still surprise Terry with it, because I doubt he's going to watch this or listen. So, yeah, Udio is also going to get sued out of existence, as will many of these other AI song generators. So if you want to do it, go ahead now. But all these song generators have more or less all trained their data against RIAA music, and they're going to get brought to court. It'll be a few years, but these things are going to be gone. I truly believe that they're going to, or heavily restricted or charged, or, you're going to have to pay for a lot of this, and then half that money is going to go to the RIAA, and that's a whole nother discussion. Is this a disc golf show? It can be. Ride all one. We talked disc golf earlier. We're talking about Eagles Wind Dragon. I'm a tech guy, so, I talk a lot about AI if I can. So, Tim says Lars will sue him. Yeah, Lars, he tried to sue Napster out of existence. He was not a well-liked guy. I do remember that. But I was also one of the Napster guys. So I was in college at the time and didn't have any cash. So I felt zero guilt in stealing all that music. But once I started getting cash, I also bought a lot of music and t-shirts and stuff like that, where they're making more money that way now. So it's also how I discovered a ton of music, though. That was kind of like how I used it as Pandora. You find one song and then you just kind of go off and like, oh, this one and this one and this one and this one, and you listen to it and you put it on a mixed CD or some crap, and yeah. I don't know if I have. I bet you I still have some of those MP3 files stuffed away somewhere. But I also have 2,000 CDs sitting in the other room that are in boxes. Maybe not 2,000, maybe 1,000. I just can't give myself to get rid of. Right, else says, what's the best backpack for a tech guy? Oh, God, that's so tough. Like, there's so many different price points. I, in general, well, it's Swiss. I went with the Swiss one because it was pretty padded. But you can, that's like lower level $60 backpack. You can buy really, really nice backpacks for hundreds of dollars. Ones that will lock if you want to travel with it, so people don't, like pickpocket you and crap like that. So it's a backpack. Those are personal choices as well. But we have a $50 limit at work. So when an employee comes in, well, not every employee, just my team, I give them like $50. So go to CDW, buy a backpack, whatever one you like. Just keep it under $50. Because usually you can get a decent one for under $50. Yeah. I don't know. All right, guys. I don't know if I got much more for you tonight. I'll talk to Terry, see if he's going to be around next week. If not, maybe we'll have Dust on. Kind of talk about the Crocal Open. I was actually going to go up north this weekend, where I would not have been able to watch, but turns out my in-laws have COVID, so I get out of that. So yeah, so that means I'm going to get a chance to watch the Crocal Open this weekend. I'll probably put it on, catch it on and off as I'm in between, I don't know, putting, mowing the lawn, building Skipace. Skipace is coming along really well. Not going to lie, really excited for all the new features. got this trying to build out stats now. I've got new scoring system. Fixed a couple little bugs. I want to create a new draft, a new league type. It's really nice. As much as AI is not great for some people, for like some artists and stuff, and probably not for some coders, it is helping out me, who's a mediocre coder, so much. I'm able to build so many new features. And I don't have to like go to my developer like I used to all the time and pay him a lot of money. I was paying him 5 figures, low 5, like 10 to 12 grand a year to work in the off season, usually from like August through December, maybe January. And he would build the website that I wanted. And he was really good at it. I really liked it. But now he's built the framework that I can kind of just go into ChatGPT or Anthropic or the Claude, the Sonnet, whatever, and put it in there, and it kind of does it for me. It takes a little while. You got to kind of learn the quirks, but I can build my own features now. Yeah, the fantasy disc Skipace, Skipace is fantasy disc golf. I'll give a quick spiel for it. It is a place where you can go, and there's a couple different league types. We have Survivor Leagues, which is kind of like Survivor Fantasy Football. You get to pick a player one time. You have to take the top 15, and you can't pick them again throughout the rest of the season. See how far you can get. There are redraft leagues, which it's more or less kind of like your fantasy football pick'ems. So every week you can pick 6 or 7, whatever your league decides, number of players. There's a salary cap, which is based on rating. So you can't just everyone pick the same top 4 guys, because what fun would that be? That's pretty boring. Even though if you want to set up a league like that, you could. I mean, when everyone's going to pick Gannon, Heimberg, AB, and Antala, who cares? Like, that's not fun. So putting a salary cap on, so you have to pick players that are like 1,010 or 1,015, or FPL players that are in like the 920s and 930s. That adds a little bit of fun to the game. And then there's also year-long draft leagues where we have, where it's just like fantasy football drafts, where you get together with a bunch of guys or girls in the beginning of the season. Everyone picks a player, and you're the only one that gets that player. And you fill out a roster, and you can. I added trading. I created trading now. Awesome. So you'll be able to make trades. You can trade with players. You can pick up players off free agency. You've got an IR spot, injured reserve, in case a player gets hurt. You can put them on there. It locks them for like 3 weeks. All sorts of fun stuff. It's pretty cool. I enjoy it. And it's a lot of this now. A lot of these features are because I can do it through AI. Again, I think it helped a lot that my developers built some really good code to start out with. The developers I have are really good. Like, everyone thinks they're developers. Like, my guys are really good. They're like renowned in the PHP world. They happen to live in the Milwaukee area here. They have their own podcast. They have, they've spoken at PHP conventions. Like, these guys are really good. And I got to them a long time ago before they were kind of well known. So we've had a relationship, which is great. So they built a great framework that now I can kind of build off of. I can't do everything. There are some things that I still get a little lost on. I literally learned something yesterday that I was getting really frustrated. And it turns out it's really easy once you understand how programming works. But yeah, ChatGPT can do some really good things. Tim says he was shocked at how quickly and easily it spit out WordPress theme code. Yeah, it's honestly, it's gonna break the world in some ways. It's gonna make things better. I mean, Photoshop broke the photography world a little bit. It also made it a lot better. Photography broke the portrait world. It also made it a lot better. Every tool can improve things. YouTube. I mean, I use YouTube all the time for different things, for learning how to do. I replaced half the plumbing in my house because I watched YouTube videos. Probably, that would have been a couple grand for a plumber. I didn't have to pay that. We learn. We use the tools we have. Is there any real money, or is it just for fun? Well, it depends on your league. You could set up a league just like any other fantasy sports site, and have a $20. There's a local on the board, Ryan Pilcher, runs a $20 league where everyone pitches in $20. Winner do that. I think they have an outside source. I don't collect money yet. I might do that in the future. Every year we do a fundraiser for the Paul Macbeth Foundation. Paul in the past has donated his players pack, his USDGC players pack, which is always, the USDGC always has the best players packs. And Paul has donated that. Everyone pay. There is a paid service. You can pay $10 to get in and play this particular matchup. It's a 1 weekend matchup, and the winner takes home Paul McBeth's players pack. Because let's be honest, does Paul care about his players pack? Probably not. That he's, a couple discs he's not going to throw, a new polo, a duffel bag, an umbrella, whatever they're giving away, which is usually really good. Paul doesn't care about that. Ricky doesn't care about that. Those guys, Chris Dickerson did one year for me, and then we put all that money that we raised right into the Paul McBeth Foundation. It was about $1,000 or $1,200. So very cool. So each league, if you want to run it, there's a free option and there's a paid option. The free option gives you some real basic features. The paid option gives you things like automatic alternates. So, take this weekend when Kelvin, let's just pretend Kelvin signed up for the Crokel Open, but he doesn't show up because he's like, I don't want to play. You don't just lose. You don't just, oh, well, I guess that sucks for me. Paid leagues get things like automatic alternates that will grab the next best available player based on salary cap or if someone on your bench or things like that. So, it's fun. I've been doing it for like 15 years, 20, maybe 20 years now. But I've gotten real serious about it in the last 5 or 6. So, anyway, that's the plug for Skipace. That's skipace.com, your site for fantasy disc golf. And I'm really excited for next year. But this is a little bit of a different night. We'll see what happens next week with Terry. If not, like I said, maybe count on Dust next week. Him and I will talk about Crokel, or Terry and I will talk about Crokel. Whoever, someone and me will talk about Crokel. And we'll see what happens. I think a lot of the talk is going to be about Kristen Tatar, because we're going to see how she's coming off of that broken rib. Whether, I don't think there's going to be an issue, personally. Maybe she's a little rusty, but I doubt it's going to be rib related. It might just be because she's coming off the bench. But she really wants to get tuned up for the European Open, which is, something she's very excited to win every year. For myself, John Van Dersen, and Terry, who's somewhere probably sleeping right now, but maybe not. Knowing him, it's probably only 3 or 4 in the morning there, so who knows what Terry's schedule is like. This is podcast episode 514, our Des Moines Challenge recap. I will see you next week when you step inside the Smashbox. Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the Smashbox TV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashboxTV.